Hello friends, welcome to the show Bottoms Up Research with Harshit Toshniwal. This video we are going to do a deep dive on hospital sector. We are also going to cover 10 of its largest listed names. It's a 7-part video, so for best understanding would request you all to have a look at all the 7. And one additional thing, if you find this video useful, then please like it, subscribe it and share it with more people. Let us start now. Hi, so this is the 4th part of the hospital industry primer series. In the first 3 parts, हमने देखा about the basics of hospitals. We looked at the case mix and the payer mix for different hospitals. We also looked at the economics of a particular hospital unit. Now we'll move towards discussing the individual hospital. तो सबसे पहले हम चालू करते हैं for hospital based in the NCR Delhi region. When I say NCR based chains, I mean that 50 to 60% of their revenue comes from Delhi NCR region, right? And why is it कि इस region में इतने सारे hospitals हैं and it's one of the most famous famous regions for medical treatment? One is because of the international patient volumes. 40% of the international medical travel in India happens and gets themselves treated at NCR region. So that is the first point. And the second point is that Delhi is the core for all the medical colleges. So they have one of the best medical colleges in this particular region. So the availability of doctors, nurses is one of the highest in this particular region. In this particular presentation, we are going to discuss about 3 hospitals: Max Healthcare, Medanta and Artemis Medicare. Let's start with the Max Healthcare. So this was part of the Max group led by Analjit Singh. Analjit Singh was the son of Ranbaxy founder Bhai Mohan Singh. They started the hospital. He started the hospital chain and ran it till 2018. Now this is a good asset based out of the NCR region, but because of the financial troubles at the Max group, Analjit Singh had to sell this hospital to Radiant Group in 2019. Before going to who Radiant was, let's look at a person, Abhay Soi. So he is referred to as the turnaround specialist. इनका कोई medical background नहीं है. He used to be a restructuring professional at KPMG, Ernst & Young for a long period of time till 2004-5, even till 2010 he used to have his own restructuring firm. In 2010, surprisingly, he was working on one of the hospital clients on restructuring the BL Kapoor hospitals in Delhi, and the client expressed the desire to exit the business. He took a brave move. He raised funds from JP Morgan and bought out the operations of the company in 2010. Within 4 years, 2010 से 2014 के बीच में, he was able to turn that hospital around using his restructuring expertise. Similarly, in 2014, what he did was that he took the control of Nanavati Hospital in Mumbai, and that Nanavati Hospital in Mumbai was also then successfully turned around over 2014 to 2018. So Nanavati and BL Kapoor together formed the Radiant group of hospitals. They don't own these hospitals. Their arrangements are O&M, operations and management. Basically all the land, building, equipments, everything is owned by the trust. What Radiant does is basically just the management of the hospital and operations, for which they get a fixed fee as a percentage of the overall turnover of those 2 hospitals. It's not recorded in their P&L or merged in their P&L in a consolidated manner. Only the fee part of what they receive is something that gets recorded as their income. Now in 2019, Abhay Soi took one of the largest it was one of the bravest move, was along with KKR, they bought out the Max Hospital group from Analjit Singh, and again over 2019 to 2022 we saw them being very focused and turn that hospital around. We'll go into the depth of their turnaround, but I just want to give a broad picture of the availability. So Max is 3,400 bed capacity, of which around 1,000 beds are out of Delhi, in Mumbai, UP and Punjab, and 2,400 beds are there in the Delhi NCR region, right? So there's a list of what are their key hospitals, when they started, and the different arrangements. You can have a look at them, but largely I think 2 important points which needs to be mentioned in this case is, one, if you look at the BL Kapoor hospital, it was acquired by Abhay Soi in 2010, when it was having a revenue of around 30 crore. Over 10 to 15 in the next 5 years, he literally there was a massive turnaround. He took the revenues to around 382 crore. And when we look at the BLK Kapoor Hospital, it's around 540 bed hospital, right? He took the revenue to more around 1 crore per bed in 2018, which is an average revenue comparable to many of the other peers. And along with this turnaround, he also improved the margin profile of the business, which stood at around 11% in FY18. It would have definitely improved from here on, but that is the latest available data. Again, Nanavati Hospital, Adequacy acquired in FY15 when it was having a 150 crore of turnover and a negative margin business. Over the next 3 to 4 years, he scaled the revenue to around 303 crore and bought it to an EBITDA break-even position. Obviously, over 18 to 22, things would have definitely improved from there on. Similarly, when we look at Max Hospitals, Radiant took over Max Hospital in June 2019. But prior to that, the last 2 to 3 years of FY18 and 19 were actually very painful. A large part of it is to do with the impact of regulator capping the price of consumables and implants. So the knee stent, the stents used in the bypass surgery, the knee joints, syringes, etc. The government brought a price control to those, which led to a lot of margin pressure for many of these players. But few things which Radiant did right after acquiring one is that they focused on increasing the mix of surgical revenue within those areas. As a result, it helped them improve the ARPOBs and consequently margin. And second, they took a very focused cost saving initiative of 330 crores. They implemented in FY 2021. Again, COVID was a period which helped them rationalize their overall structure to that extent. The overall margins for the industry as a whole, for Radiant, for Max as a whole group, improved from 15% in FY20 to right now around 20 to 25%. We'll see more of it in the coming slides. Max Healthcare today stands at around 3,500 beds, right? And they have in FY22 bought lands. So they have bought land in the sense they have either bought it or they have partnered with the various hospitals. So they have the availability of 4,000 new bed that can be added, all of them in largely in Delhi NCR region, some of it in Mumbai etc., but largely in Delhi NCR region. Of this 4,000 beds, they plan to add around 2,800 beds in the next 5 years itself, which is FY23 to FY27, right? And when I look at their overall capacity addition, this is their roadmap. Again, the source of this is management presentation. So right now they are at around 3,400 beds, just giving a broad ballpark of the kind of additions which they plan. So the one addition is in the Gurgaon sector 53 and 56, where they have bought a 11-acre land. The overall possibility of this hospital is around 1,000 beds, of which they plan to add 500 in FY 25 and 26 together. So this is going to be one of the greenfield expansion. Second, they have bought in a land. So this is the Vikrant Foundation land. It's a 3.5 acre land which they have bought in 2022. What is the position of this land? So they already have 2 hospitals existing. This land is in between. What they have done is that by buying this land, they plan to add another hospital tower here, which can contribute to around 500 beds. And this is considered to be a brownfield because they have existing hospitals, so it will not incur a lot of expenditure in terms of building up the occupancy and the footfalls. This again is going to expected to come in FY26 and FY27. The other major expansion plans which they have is that, so in Dwarka, Delhi, they have a operation and management contracts for a 300 beds on a 3.5 acre land. So that 300 bed is going to come in FY24. In FY23, what they plan is a brownfield expansion in Shalimar Bagh, which is going to be a 100 bed expansion. In FY25, beyond the expansion at the sector 53-56 Gurgaon. What they are going to also do is to expand 329 beds which is there in Nanavati Hospital, Mumbai, and 190 beds is going to be an addition towards their Mohali existing hospital, and 350 bed is going to be an brownfield in their Max Smart complex city. So broadly, in nutshell, I think two key takeaways from this particular slide is one, that over FY23 to FY27, Max is planning to add roughly around 2800 beds, and this 2800 beds, overall cost of adding this beds is going to be around 3000 crore additional, which they can very well fund through their internal accruals itself. Now, trying to forecast, right now they have a bed capacity of around 3400. I add around 1500 beds to this. This is the operational beds over FY22 to 26. Occupancies, I take it down from 75% to 71% level, because as you expand, it will be the newer hospitals will take some time for being fully occupied and come up to the overall industry levels. ARPOB, I have assumed a 3 to 4% CAGR over 24, 25, 26, while the CAGR can be higher actually, but I have built in the conservatism to the extent of many of the hospitals are going to be new ones, and you might need to take institutional business in the earlier periods to accommodate that. In FY23, the sharp jump in ARPOB which we see is primarily because of two reasons. They have improved their payer mix significantly, the international revenue mix has increased, and their institutional or basically government PSU business mix has reduced. So which is how we take the ARPOB from around 65,000 currently, we expect it to go to around 70,000. In terms of margin, this is net of rentals. They operate at around 26% margin currently. My expectation is that it is expected to moderate over the next 3-4 years, because the newer hospitals will have a lower margin in the initial periods. Over time, again, it's going to get back to the mature hospital margin levels of 25-30%. And to that extent, my EBITDA increases from around 1400 crore expectation in 23 to more around 18 to 1900 crore in FY26. In terms of the current valuation on FY24 EBITDA, stock trades at around 23 time EV EBITDA and 37 time PE. Just to summarize Max Healthcare positives and negatives, one is the strong management capability, right? Abhay Soi is been one of the most sharpest execution guy, so that is going to be an advantage for the hospital. Second, they have a very strong balance sheet and cash flow. Every year they are going to generate 1000 to 1500 crore EBITDA, so they are going to have enough internal accruals to expand, so they might also look at inorganic expansion. And third, which is a risk, is their high exposure to NCR region. So out of the 3400 beds, right now 2400 are in the NCR Delhi region. Even what they plan to add, around 2500 beds, is going to come in this particular region. So as a whole, the exposure to NCR region will be very high, which leaves them to the risk of any regulation in that particular region or any increased competition in that particular region. So with all this plus fairly priced, the valuations are not cheap. So which is why I think it's going to be a average hospital from an investment point of view at this point of time. The second, we are going to look at Medanta Hospital. Now Medanta Hospital, it was started by Dr. Naresh Trehan. Naresh Trehan is one of the most famous cardiovascular surgeon of India. He was the one who set up the cardiology department of Escorts Delhi, which is now part of Fortis Hospital. But after doing that, he started Medanta in 2009 by opening up Med City Gurgaon. This is their flagship hospital. It's a 1400 bed hospital, which is one of the most so it is recognized for its overall clinical expertise and the doctors which are there. So that's their flagship hospital, which generates a large part of their revenue today. Around 70-75% of the revenue would be from MedCity Gurgaon. The other hospital which has done very well for them is the Medanta Lucknow. It started in 2019 in Uttar Pradesh. It's a 410 bed hospital. Again, the land is owned by Medanta itself. What they have done is that over time they have scaled that hospital, and now their annualized revenue is roughly around 450 to 600 crore, around 1 crore per bed of annualized revenue. So this has been doing well, and but both these hospitals have scaled up well. They are at around 20 to 22% margin at which these two hospitals operate. What is going to be a incremental lever to their overall margin profile is going to be Medanta Patna. It's again a 300 bed hospital which was operationalized in 2022. It's on a leased land. That lease is till 2028. We'll have to see how this lease go forward, but most likely they will be able to carry it forward. Now what they have done is that that hospital currently, it's not up to its entire scale. It was opened up in somewhere end of FY22, so it takes time to scale. In Q1 FY23, the annualized revenue they clocked was around 112 crore, which is around 40 lakhs per bed. This can easily scale to around 70-80 lakh, 1 crore per bed. So this is one of the levers for them to expand the revenue and margin in the near term. In terms of expansion plans, I think 23 and 24, I don't think there is much large expansion which is there. In 25, they have a Medanta Noida hospital which is coming up. It's a 300 bed planned hospital, but it is going to come up in FY25. So these 2 years there is no new major new addition. What they have been looking at and guiding is that there are brownfield opportunities. So the Lucknow hospital has a capacity of 900 beds, which is currently only 400 beds operated. Only 400 is built up, so they can add another 500 bed over time, but obviously after FY25 is something which I expect. Similarly in Patna, they have around 500 bed capacity, but the number is 300, so they can add another 200 here. So this 700 bed is something which can be a possibility, but it is going to be in FY25-26 period itself, not before that. So overall, that is how Medanta is placed. Has levers for slightly improving the margin profile, but next 2-3 years no major expansion plans which is going to come up, which is why when I look at their overall bed from 1950 bed, right now I'm scaling it up only to 2200 bed, but during this period I'm giving them the benefit of improving occupancies at the existing hospitals. And at the same point of time, since you are not adding new capacity, you will have the advantage of ARPOB increase of 3 to 4% over time. Again, it's a conservative number. There is room for it to increase. What I have factored in is the increasing competition in Delhi NCR region, which might keep your overall ARPOBs under check. But having said that, what the lever exists is that they have been clocking around 20% pre-Ind AS post net of rental margin. I believe this margin has room to improve by another 100 to 150 basis points. So which is what I build in, and at that point of time I get around 650 crores EBITDA in 24 and around 700 crores in FY25. At the current price, it's again around 40-50% higher from the IPO price, but the stock trades at around 35 times earning and 18 times EBITDA on FY24 earnings. I think it's one of the better placed hospitals in the Delhi NCR region, and what Dr. Naresh Trehan across most of his interviews has mentioned कि whenever he wants to expand in regions which are the northern cities and highly populated northern cities. उनका एक चीज़ बहुत अच्छा है that he is saying that he does not want to expand a lot in the Gurgaon region in the near term, given the increased competition, which I believe is a right step to do. Medanta, इनके क्या advantages? I think the best part is that it's a very strong brand, right? Medanta is known for its clinical hospitals. Inke doctors are one of the most famous ones. And second is that they are expanding in key cities in north and diversifying away from NCR. So which is the other part. And second is like in valuations part, given the earning certainty and the levers for margin improvement, it's relatively better placed amongst all the Delhi NCR hospitals. So my opinion is tilted towards positive in Medanta hospital. Now let's look at the third hospital, Artemis. Artemis was actually established in 2007. It was launched by the Apollo Tyres Group. Now it's a single location hospital, and so it's there in sector 51 Gurgaon. This sector 51 Gurgaon is a very good location, and in that location Artemis is a very good hospital. It's a branded hospital in that particular region. They used to have around 394 bed capacity for a very long period of time. There was one expansion which was talked about for a long period of time, but that happened in FY22 end itself. What they did is that their existing hospital, it was there in sector 51, they added a tower near the existing hospital itself. This tower was around 200 bed capacity hospital, which took their overall bed capacity from 394 to 538. They also have room for further expansion of another 150 to 200 bed, which the management has guided for that to happen by FY25, by which it can go to 738. I believe that they can maintain high occupancy levels. Why? Because of the location. Artemis Hospital in Delhi is placed in sector 51 Gurgaon, which is one of the best location it is, and which is why it attracts very high international patients. Around 30% of the overall patients are international patients, so that is the advantage. But again, it's a single unit hospital. On the expansion part, I think this is an extract from their recent annual general meeting. They plan not to expand in terms of any new greenfield expansion. Whatever they want to do is the brownfield expansion in the existing hospital itself. On the other things, what they try to do is, one is the Artemis Life. It's again a neighborhood hospital clinic model, which they want to expand. It's one unit is there in Delhi. The second way they want to expand is Daffodils. Daffodils is nothing but their brand for luxury birthing center for mother and child care. They have right now 3 units, one in Jaipur and 2 in Delhi of Daffodils. And third way they want to expand is through JV with Philip so through O&M contracts. So for example, they have a joint venture with Philip Medical System to operate the cardiac centers across that. So these are the asset light expansion strategies which they want to follow. My risk, my concern over here is that the margins might not be very great in all these businesses. So you are expanding, and if that creates pressure to the margins in the near term, and it turns out that the operation was not very successful, the new strategy, then you might see that overhang on the earnings for some time. In terms of their existing revenue mix, it's a multi-speciality and a very well diversified one. Onco forms around 18% of the revenue, which is a high growing segment. Cardiac for them is relatively lower, only 10%. Again, you have the hospitals of Medanta very near to that, so obviously it's difficult to grow cardiac beyond a point of time. Neuro they have been very good at. It's 17% of the overall revenue, and obviously mother child care, gastric, ortho forms around the other specialities. For Artemis, I think from the 400 bed operating bed capacity, expect them to increase gradually as you add another 200 beds in FY25. I build in a similar occupancy levels. The number dips in FY25 because I am assuming a lot of the bed additions is going to happen at the end of FY25. And RPOPs, I believe that the RPOPs can grow at around 4 to 5% CAGR because they don't have any new greenfield expansion. With that, the only concern which I am having is that their margins are currently 12%. These margins are going to improve in hospitals business, but at the same point of time, my new initiatives like Daffodils, etc., that might not earn that high margin in the initial periods. We don't have much data to analyze about those initiatives and what are the unit economics for those. But net, I think what they can achieve by FY24-25 is an EBITDA of roughly around 110 to 140 crores. And at those level, the stock right now trades at around 12 times FY24 EBITDA and 23 time earnings. Now, the valuations might appear low relative to the other NCR regions, but an important point to note here is that growth for Artemis is not very high. It is not going to be very high, and plus at the same point of time, their expansion into the other territories is something which is not yet proven. So their execution will have to be proven in their expansion in Daffodils, Artemis Light, all the different initiatives. And the third point is their economics. Now their margin profile, despite being in one of the best regions, despite having a great brand, has only been able to range around 11%. Why? The biggest reason has been their commission payment to retainership fee payment to doctors. There is 28%. This compares to around 20% for any other comparable hospital. Why? The reason is the competition. So the region where they are present in, you have hospitals like Max, Medanta, all of them expanding in this particular region, which is why there is a lot of competition, and if you don't pay the retainership fee to your doctors, it might be difficult to retain them, which is why I think structurally low margin is what I expect for this hospital. For them to take this 11, 12 to 20 is very difficult. It might improve to 14-15% with gradual efforts though. So that is about Artemis. The average part is that it's a single hospital in Gurgaon, so that is actually a negative, but the positive part, it is a very good location. So for it can be a very good acquisition target also for any large hospital. So for example, if Max wants to expand and Artemis is willing to sell, then Max will be able to get a very good hospital at half of the valuations at which it trades at, and he definitely has room to even improve the EBITDA. So from 11% margin, he might scale the margins to more around 15-20% where he is using his brand. So for any acquisition target, it is a very ideal candidate, and if that happens, then obviously there is a lot more upside in the Artemis. The negative part is their expansion into newer categories like luxury birthing clinic, etc. I believe these might require a lot of investments, which you don't have enough internal accruals to support that. With 100 crore of EBITDA, it becomes difficult to expand into different areas. So which is why I believe that is a negative. My review right now on Artemis Medicare is somewhere around average to maybe wait for better entry points. Right. Obviously, one reason why I might like Artemis Medicare at some point of time is going to be, one, if I see that their margin trajectory improves, and that is better. And second reason is that if I believe that in their new initiatives, if they do well, then that is going to be a positive trigger for them. Thanks friend. I think this was the end to the part 4, which covered the NCR region hospitals, Max, Medanta, Artemis. We are going to cover in part 5 about the diversified geographic presence hospitals, and in part 6 about the single specialty ones. We are going to end with the stock preferences, where we are again going to compare and look at these 3 NCR based ones. Thank you. Thanks a lot for viewing. Stay tuned. Hi friends, so I come to an end to this part of my presentation, and like hospitals, I wish to cover more number of sectors over time. I've done a similar work on cement industry. The link to that is in the description below. Would love to hear your feedback and any other sector you want me to cover, but have a great day. Thank you.